We are bringing in clients where a lot of them really feel they know me really well because they've seen me on social media, they've seen my ad. Our projection for the year was only going to be, between $50,000 to $80,000 in revenue. Moving forward, our latest projections, we're looking at $150,000, potentially $200,000 in revenue. We're bringing on a lot higher quality clients as well. I say Peter is the architect, and that's what has created that transformation.
So guys, I'm sitting here with Tyler Murphy, aka Major League Finance on Instagram. Tyler, you and I have been working together for probably about 5 months now. You just re-upped for another 16-week commitment. So it's been super awesome working with you through this time. But I guess starting out, would you just kind of introduce yourself and kind of share what's your main offer in your business?
Yeah, so I'm Tyler Murphy, Major League Finance, and really what my core offer is really coming to the table with different business owners and teaching them a little bit about business structure, a little bit about retirement accounts that are exclusive to business owners, and ultimately saving them money on taxes while turning their business into an investment vehicle to compound profits. When we do that, we work for a flat fee. We serve as kind of a fiduciary advisor to them, so they pay us, a quarterly, monthly, yearly amount, and we look to add value on top of that amount that they're paying us to show them that our service is worth it as an investment advisor and with a little bit of tax planning on the side.
So financial advisory plus wealth management for small business owners, in a nutshell, right?
That's exactly right. So it's financial planning and investment management for business owners because, you're as a business owner, you're definitely different from a W-2, and there's a lot of different strategies that we can implement that are beyond what a normal W-2 can be. We also serve W-2s, but we push them to start businesses, if they have the know-how.
Yeah. So talk to me about before we started working together, kind of paint the picture, where were you at with your company's strong side? What did revenue look like? Where were you getting clients from? Just kind of paint the picture for us.
Yeah, so we really on a reoccurring revenue basis of what we were kind of working with at that time, really even 5-ish months ago, our projection for the year was only going to be, between $50,000 to $80,000 in revenue. So it was okay. We had lost some business that didn't reoccur, but moving forward, our latest projections, we're looking at, really $150,000, potentially $200,000 in revenue for 2024. So we're bringing on a lot more clients. We're bringing on a lot higher quality clients as well. I'd say the reach that we've kind of seen in our ads is really going after the exact client that we serve the best, that we add the most value to. And that allows us to charge a premium dollar, which is increasing for us, month to month.
So who is that ideal client for you guys?
The ideal client for us would be, small business owners, really a husband and wife business. I'd say, that is where we can add the most value because of something called a solo 401k. But, really any small business owner, they could have a couple contractors that work under them. They could have a couple of employees, especially if they have some turnover issue. That's our ideal client. So it could be a service business, it could be construction businesses, it could be short-term rentals. Really anything that's small, that's scalable, we're an incremental piece and we can do that.
And what drove you to choose that as your particular niche? Because a lot of small businesses I talk to, particularly in this financial services niche, they're well, yeah, I do tax planning for real estate and small business owners, and it's buddy, that's everybody.
Yeah.
So how did you come to pick a niche? Because I think a lot of people listening will find that valuable, and how you picked your niche.
I picked my niche kind of just with the people that I align the most with. In high school, I was a painter. I worked for a painting company. I learned that business in and out, got into financial planning, knew I loved it. And I chose to stick kind of around those service businesses just because I know exactly, what those business owners go through on a week-to-week, month-to-month, year-to-year basis. I have empathy for it. I align with it, and I can provide a lot of value to you. So those are the business that I would say are my favorite to work with. The other piece of it, again, that's kind of the business owner side that I really know through that experience. The other one is the short-term rental side. I like the short-term rental side because a lot of financial advisors will only put you into mutual funds or a set of funds. And when you ask them to take that money out and put it into real estate, they have all sorts of shutdown mentality of why you shouldn't do that. Me knowing that space and knowing how to transition you successfully into something like real estate helps me differentiate from a lot of financial advisors, financial planners, whatever you want to call them.
This is something you talk, like when we were first starting to work together and you were explaining why you do a flat fee structure. You're talking about how most financial advisors are incentivized the wrong way. They're not incentivized perfectly in alignment with like their client's success, right? Can you kind of explain like how that works?
That's exactly right. So most advisors, what I tell people is they are vested in your assets under management and not your net worth. And that's a huge problem in my eyes, because an example would be, you have $1 million stock portfolio and, it's doing well, it's growing, you have funds, you're paying some fees, all that's good. But the fees the advisor is making and the fund managers are making are tied directly to those assets that they manage. You might be at a point where you want to leave your W-2 and you have to replace income. The portfolio alone isn't going to do that. So maybe you take $500,000 out of that investment portfolio and you put it into a real estate deal or two or three, whatever it may be, in hopes of creating cash flow. When you tell your financial advisor that you're going to do that and they're making 1% on your $1 million, that's $10,000 per year they're making, plus the fund fees, which is probably another $5 to $10,000, so $20,000 total. Now, if you cut $500,000 out of the investment portfolio, their fees get cut in half. So that's where their red flags start going off, saying, you might not want to do that because real estate is difficult, interest rates are too high, you'll never cash flow, short-term rentals are volatile. But the real reason they're saying that is because they see their bottom line go from 10 to 5 or 20 to $10,000 in revenue that they're going to make off you, and they're probably going to be doing the same amount of work. Where if you work with an advisor that's a flat fee model, we are not incentivized to keep you in assets under management in the market, buying real estate, investing into your small business, investing into other businesses. Our bottom line is not going to get affected. So we are not incentivized one way or another to push you towards certain products and not others.
Yeah, no, that's super interesting. And I love that you've picked a model where you can be fully in alignment and your best interest is fully to serve the customer's best interest, which is awesome. So talk to me about where were you getting clients from before we started working together? You had just you'd lost a number of clients and you were kind of trying to come back from this bit of a hit. You're looking at 50 to 80 grand in revenue for the next 12 months. Where were you looking to get more clients and replace those old clients that had left?
Right. So what had happened is I had another advisor with me and we were doing a lot of one-time plans that created a lot of revenue for a year, but it wasn't reoccurring. When that reoccurring revenue doesn't come in, your revenue outlook looks shaky. So when that advisor had left, and we still have a very, very good relationship, a lot of portfolio consulting there, what we still do today, just less of a sales role. And a lot of the business went back to just kind of being, on my back. I'm doing the planning, I'm doing the client acquisition, I'm doing everything. And really what had happened was it was me going after friends and family, me going after my business network and getting, referrals. We did a good job with referrals, but it wasn't at all where we wanted to be. It was all, organic, more personal network things where now after, starting with Peter, we are bringing in clients where, I hop in a meeting with them and the first question I have to ask them is, how do you know me and what do you know about me? And it's because a lot of them really feel they know me really well because they've seen me on social media, they've seen my ad, they've checked out my website, but the way they found me was through my Instagram, through the ads, and me speaking to the problems that they've had. Mm-hmm. So we're now bringing on clients, that I would have never, ever have been able to reach before because they're not a friend of a friend or a friend of a friend of a friend. These are people that don't know me at all, that we're building rapport from day one as kind of business associates, and those become friendships too. But it's been hugely transformative for my business in bringing in not one or two clients per month, but it realistically could be at 4 or 5 per month because of the ads we're running and kind of I say Peter is the architect behind kind of the marketing of Strong Side and Major League Finance, and that's what has created that transformation.
Yeah, and it's been so much fun to watch too, because you were literally the first consulting client I brought on. I come out of doing this for people in the marketing agency, charging a ton of money, and I'm like trying to figure out what it would look like to create something that's more accessible for those entrepreneurs doing like $100,000 a year.
Right.
Like, how do I help them go make 300? You know, a lot of people talk, like Grant Cardone's been talking about how like 300K is the new 100K salary, right? So like, how do I help, you know, essentially struggling entrepreneurs, because 100K in business revenue kind of, you know,
It's
that's not great.
Yeah,
right?
it's tough.
It's hard to make ends meet with that. But yeah, just to see you just like take it and run with it, man, it's been super rewarding. But so how much have you spent in ads in total so far?
So we only have at this point a $2,500 ad spend in total.
In total over the last like 4 months.
That's right. So
Okay.
we do not have a huge ad budget. We do not have a huge marketing budget. You know, for all intents and purposes, we're still bootstrapping it day to day in terms of ad spend. So with very little input, you know, that's all we're at for ad spend.
And what has the like new sales revenue off of that ad spend been?
Reoccurring yearly revenue, just from directly from ad spend of how clients found us, we're going to be at $26,000 per year.
26,000.
In
So like
reoccurring
10x on your ads revenue.
That's right.
And that's not, is that including or is that not including the like startup fee that you charge?
That does not include any startup fees.
Okay.
So
explain your fee structure here.
Yeah, so the fee structure comes down to client complexity. You know, if a mom and pop business, you know, I might be charging you, you know, $300 per month and a $3,000 onboarding. Maybe it's a $4,000 onboarding fee, but the majority of business owners can expect to come in and pay, you know, $400 to $500 per month with a $4,000 onboarding fee. So in that $26,000 figure, I don't count any onboarding fees because it's not reoccurring revenue, and I want to build a business on reoccurring revenue. So that's just, you know, added money that would come in from new clients, which is really, really nice to have. But the fee structure is monthly plus an onboarding fee, and depending on your complexity, you will have a higher onboarding fee and a higher monthly fee. What that means is I'm probably just going to be spending a lot more time with you, and the problems and the efficiencies we need to create and the upkeep on making sure things keep running smoothly.
So essentially $26,000 in yearly, like not quite autopilot, but like kind of autopilot revenue, right?
Yeah, the bulk of the work is up front. The maintenance, you know, the maintenance fee is really that $400 per month. You know, we're spending, you know, it could be, you know, 4 hours per month, you know, trading your portfolio, looking at the tax ramifications, you know, making sure all the accounts are allocated correctly, making sure you're on track for your budget and your cash flow, things like that. There's a lot of items that go into it, but yes, you could call it autopilot, you could call it maintenance. That's you know really what that monthly fee is for.
And how many new clients is that in total?
So we have brought on, I would have to look at it exactly, but I think we are at 9 clients directly from ads, and we've also picked up some indirect clients. Or I'm sorry, I think it's 7 direct clients from ad spend, and I think we're at 9 or 10 indirect clients, and we have 4 or 5 other prospects that we're working on just for the month of January.
That's incredible.
So it's speeding up. One thing I would tell people to keep in mind is I started with no social media, 0 followers. We're over 1,000 now, and people follow me at a more aggressive pace now because the ad's not bringing them to a page with 200 followers and 5 posts or 10 posts. It, you know, 1,000 followers, and it looks more legitimate.
Yeah, 100%. So what is, in your experience, what's been the difference between like these prospects that are like family and friends or like third degree personal connections versus the ones you're getting through these ads? Like, is it way harder to sell the people who are coming from the ads and the content?
The ads and the content people are much easier to close the deals with because they have the means to hire a financial planner and they have the exact problems that we are going to solve and that we are kind of picked out and chose that we said we know how to solve this in the ad. So the people that the ads are finding really align with what we do and how we're going to solve that problem, and they just need somebody to do it. Where if it's friends and family, you know, you're walking into anything and everything. They could have a 401k that's sitting in cash. They could have a 401k in Vanguard funds. They could have a huge range of different problems, and it either won't be a fit for us as a firm or it won't be a fit for them as an individual, and there's no point in creating any business there, which is the exact opposite of what we see with the clients that we're bringing in with ads.
Yeah, you're able to just like cherry pick the best people out of social media.
That's exactly right.
Now, okay, so one thing that people bring up a lot, particularly people running financial service firms like financial advisory or like tax and accounting, they're like, I need to be on LinkedIn because like that's where my target audience is. What has have you ever tried with LinkedIn at all? Like we've been building everything on Instagram for you, right? Have you thought about LinkedIn at all? Have you thought about the difference between the two platforms there?
I've posted on LinkedIn in years past, just, starting off a post saying, hey, this is really boring, but if you read this, you're going to learn something. And again,
that's a great hook.
I probably should do it. It's, I get hundreds of messages on LinkedIn. It's all people just trying to just sell. And it's not helpful to me. It's not helpful to them. I've never been one to go out and directly message people on LinkedIn to try and get sales, but I have posted, and I can't confidently say I've ever gotten a client off of LinkedIn. I guess I view that platform as more of a joke than Instagram, which is kind of crazy considering it's business oriented. But I feel like it's just a lot of people saying well deserved and congratulations when they don't really mean it. Whereas Instagram, I can put educational content out there and show people how to do finance better.
Yeah, I mean the thing I always tell people is there's 2.3 billion monthly active users on Instagram. That means and especially if you take into consideration probably half the world is undeveloped to the point where people aren't spending a considerable, if you're rooting around for food and water and trying to survive, you're not wasting time on social, right?
Right.
And so that's even more concentrated in the US. So all of the people who are your target market who are on LinkedIn, they're also on Instagram.
Right.
Now, for you, you're on LinkedIn, right? You're also
Yep.
on Instagram. How much time do you spend on LinkedIn per day?
Probably none.
Yeah.
I'd say on average it's probably, if I broke it down into a week, it's probably under 15 minutes a week.
Yeah, you just check it and scroll through your notifications once, but you're not doom scrolling for hours and hours.
Right. I'm just glad that Debbie
Everybody
got a new
does.
job.
Yeah. Everybody does that on Instagram. I sit down on the toilet for 5 minutes, and next thing I know, my leg's asleep. Right.
Right. And Instagram is, and you might have different thoughts than me, is, in the past, and even my dad or my grandparents would say oh, post ads in newspapers. I'm I do that. I just do it differently. What you guys think of it as.
Yeah, it's the modern public forum, right?
Right. It's a public forum where people post and you keep up with people, and it's not your Daily Herald that you're following that's posting, but you get the firsthand knowledge of everything that's happening on Instagram through those people's lives. Mm-hmm. And however you want to use Instagram, you can. It could be very business oriented. You could follow a lot of business people and pick up a lot of business acumen, or you could follow a lot of sports teams and know exactly what the Buffalo Bills did this past weekend. It's the algorithm is what you make it.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Well, dude, thanks so much for hopping on. It's been incredible, seeing your business just explode these past few months, and looking forward to continuing that scale trajectory with you. So
I appreciate it, Peter. Keep going.